Hello, AP Jimmy. Hello, hello. Hello, guys. Let me know if you can see things well, if you can hear us well, all of that. Gonna wait for a couple of minutes for people to join when they're done gambling on New York Open. I'm joined with UB today. Hello, UB.
Hello. How's it going?
I'm fine. I'm fine. It's been some funny days on the markets lately.
Yeah, it's been interesting to say the least.
Yeah, we can't say that that it's been boring. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Over the past, I was about to say since January, but things kind of accelerated over the past month or so. It's
Yeah, but
been,
I'd still say January was the beginning of the end.
yeah. It's been, well, we can't complain much. It's been hectic, obviously, but we can't complain. Like when I first started seeing Bitcoin breaking down the range we had between November and January, I was like, ah, fuck, we might very well just enter a phase of turbo chop activity, but we've got served with quite the volatility, to be honest.
Yeah, so that's been nice if you're into that.
Yeah, for traders, I guess. For traders, I guess. Hello, Adrian. Hello, Squeeze. Hello, Andy. Apparently, video good, sound good. Can be a bit louder. I'm gonna up the sound from UB particularly. I don't know if you guys can hear him well or not. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, a New York Open stream. It's been a while that we haven't streamed together with UB. In the
Yeah,
early days of the event, we used to mostly stream together. I would say 2 years ago now already.
probably, yeah.
It's been a while. But yeah, hasn't happened in a while. So
This is
yeah,
a big moment.
yeah, big moment. Yeah, we're just gonna watch Bitcoin. Can discuss our different potential different perspective on Bitcoin. Tell us what you're seeing and things like this, especially considering that I am personally, and I've been since January, since February mostly, in a proper try to do as little as possible in terms of bigger trades to take, and I've mostly been scalping lower time frame. I don't know how active you've been on Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin's been a weird one. I've been mainly focusing on alts.
Yeah,
I feel like the opportunity for Bitcoin has been very slim. It's been great for like intraday traders,
yeah,
but I've kind of moved on from that trading in this environment. I spoke about it a bit last night. I uploaded a Haven video,
yeah,
and I pretty much said that like the market is just so weird right now, and I'm really just waiting. Like, essentially, I'm sitting in a bush, like waiting to pounce, and then when I see that there's a good trading opportunity, I'll take it. But it's mostly focused on altcoins right now. Like
which is
that's where the
funny
opportunity
because
is coming from.
it's the complete opposite of that's the complete opposite of what we used to be. Like
Yeah,
when
yeah,
we used to stream together, I was the one mostly just watching shitcoins, and you were the one mostly watching Bitcoin. And I've been playing with shitcoins, and a lot of them has offered some very nice trade. Obviously, I think we are both particularly thinking about Fatcoin, which I think we
Mhm.
both managed to ride on the recent move. But I've been spending a lot of time mostly scalping Bitcoin lower time frame over the past 2 months. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a change in a change in the force, a change in the force.
Yeah, I
But
honestly think that like if you're a Bitcoin trader, you should probably pivot to intraday trading Fartcoin.
oh yeah, it's been
I really,
fantastic.
yeah, the intraday moves for Fartcoin are just they're great. So yeah,
Yeah,
in this
I
environment, I think you pivot to what has the most liquidity, what has the most eyes on it, which is Fartcoin right now, and just pivot to that and trade it.
yeah. Well, we can talk about Fatcoin. I'm a bit
Sure.
hesitant right now. I closed my Fatcoin position yesterday on the loss of H4 trend because my initial plan was to enter on an H4 trend reclaim, which we got in the low 50s region. And I told myself that I wouldn't do the mistake I did last time I wrote Fatcoin, which was, okay, H4 trend lost. But as you said, it's the one that has the most attention. Who knows if it's a deviation, etc., etc. But no, it's back above H4 trend, and Bitcoin is defending H1 200 EMA. It's not the worst New York Open we've had. I'm considering chasing a new position for Fatcoin, but I don't want to. I hate when I do those kind of things. Like it's the evening, you close a position,
Yeah.
and the first thing you do in the morning when you open New York Open is thinking about just doing the opposite of you did before going to sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm likely going to let it develop a little bit, but I agree with you that in my list of shitcoins, Fatcoin has been the only one that I played alongside. I mean, I probably had some isolated longs here and there on a few shitcoins, but the one that I've mostly played alongside has been Fatcoin, and the rest has been mostly short over the past 2 months. Fatcoin has been. I think what's crazy about Fatcoin, what's been good about Fatcoin is that it's been respecting a lot of different systems. I've seen people like you who are mostly focused on classic price action, absolutely nailing it. I've seen some people in the chat in the Haven. I think it was Flop who shared a setup he took yesterday on Pico retest of previous highs. I think it was something like this. And for people like me, more focused on moving averages, momentum, and trend, it's been just as fantastic. So I guess this is I don't know what it says about the market, to be honest. But
I think it's great. I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
great because it honestly shows you that despite the market conditions, they could be seen as very poor.
yeah,
But you still have these outliers where a lot of opportunity can come from, and I
yeah.
think that's really great and something that sometimes we forget like is a thing in the crypto market, which is a really nice thing.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. And it's something that I've discussed a lot last year, particularly, and over the cycle we just had, because in 2019, 2020, I would say up to 2021, 2022, the main reason to focus on shitcoins was also the fact that you almost always had isolated trends, and you almost always had a narrative to try and write, whether it was AI shitcoin, DeFi summer, whatever, or even just the L1 ecosystem, L1 themselves during last cycle, and yeah, to me, it's what it used to be. It's what something like OM did this cycle, but we know how it ended this week. Unfortunately for OM, I guess you can scam yourself away from. I guess you can scam yourself into the top 25 market cap, and eventually you get wrecked. But yeah, I agree with you. It's the kind of isolated trend strength that makes shitcoining interesting. And I think it's something we've missed a lot over the last cycle, where I think narratives and moves have been much more concentrated and also much more short-lived, basically. But yeah. So you're still in Filecoin right now.
No, I'm not. So I caught, I think in total, like what, 160% of a move on Fartcoin. Initially, I
Yeah,
was long from like 0.35,
yeah,
took profit for like 8R, then I re-entered, took it for another 7R, something like that. So
yeah. I have the
for
setup
something
over there.
like that, yeah, I feel like considering the conditions, that's obviously a really good trade.
Yeah,
And sometimes because the opportunities have been a bit scarce, I feel like if I would have entered again and a bit too quickly,
yeah,
that I would have entered emotionally and not because I really had a trade set up, which is actually accurate now looking at the price action because I closed my last long at like 0.62 probably
yeah.
somewhere in there.
Yeah, 62, I think.
So yeah, like nothing from my point of view has developed on Fartcoin. From my point of view, of course, this is just me.
Yeah,
The entry trigger would come from 0.76 all the way down to like 0.63, which is obviously a super wide range. Like I can't possibly say that price is going to bounce to the 17% range and then try and collect clout from that. But
I call that
um,
region.
yeah, I called this 17% range and it bounced. Oh my god. So, um, Yeah, Farcoin is still developing on the H4. I don't feel like I've missed anything yet.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm still either waiting for this level to hit and see some sort of reaction or some kind of price action around there, or like I'm very happy to just buy above 0.92 if the
Yeah.
setup develops above there as well. I think that's perfectly fine. So I'm just kind of chilling out, watching Fartcoin intraday, seeing what happens, and waiting for the next opportunity. Really. How about you?
Yeah, it's pretty similar in the sense that I had I was a bit mad on Fartcoin because I tried to long it early April, like 10 days ago or something, and unfortunately for me, it front run my first target, came to stop me, and I ended up deciding to go for the setup eventually, mostly fueled by seeing it not impacted much by the entire move from Bitcoin in the low 70s, in the 70s. I don't know if we can say low 70s. Yeah, we can say low 70s. But ever since this entry, up until the compounding that I tried on Monday, exactly the same as you, in the sense that in my system, from the moment it lifted off of the 0.50 region, I had no opportunity to compound whatsoever. So the only thing I was able to do was, okay, I'm paying myself all the way up. Last places I was paying myself was 0.91, and eventually fully on exiting my compounding yesterday. But up until we had this compounding unfolding, I had no opportunity to re-enter. And from here, it's a bit of a tricky situation, as I told you, because we just got a break below H4 trend, but in the same time on H1, we haven't retested H1 200 EMA, which is something we can discuss later. But very often when I'm watching and riding a trend, if I want to know if the trend is lost on daily, for example, I'm gonna go and check if H4 200 EMA is defended. In that case, it's H4, so I'm gonna check H1 200 EMA. However, I still decided to cut yesterday, mostly because Bitcoin was also a bit touchy. It was at H1 200 EMA itself. And now I'm back at waiting a little bit, waiting to see if H4 trend gets defended again. And in the end, I think it could, if I end up relonging it, it will probably be based off of the same level you highlighted, the 0.92. Basically a different H4 trend defended here into 0.92 flip support, and we give a shot for an impulse. My main concern with that is, personally, when I entered my compounding Monday, sorry, not yesterday, our first and main target short term was $1, sorry, and basically front running it, expecting people to front run the $1 region. So that's why re-entering at 0.92 could make me sweat a little bit. I might, if I decide to do so, I might do it with a smaller exposure. And otherwise, the other trade I'm seeing, and I hope for Filecoin it doesn't end up that way, but would be a gap fill to the downside. One of the good things we have when we have this kind of big moves from shitcoins or from Bitcoin or whatever is that riding the trend in itself is pretty sweet. And eventually, if/when the trend starts breaking, we have wide gaps to fill, wide gaps to chase. We can think, for example, at the Bitcoin daily chart as an example. Strong trend, the trend starts breaking, and we fill all the gap to main moving averages. So I'm waiting for my next trade. Waiting to see if we get a new H4 trend defended, or if the H4 trend is actually broken and we start filling the gaps to the downside. Not quite sure yet. But it's, as you can see on my screen, probably it's basically right below Bitcoin in terms of things I'm actively looking at. So it's on top of the watch list. We have someone saying Fartcoin being biggest mover equals more pain, more done is needed. Still too much opium in markets. I can't say that I disagree that it's complete nonsense that something like Fartcoin moved, but I think this is for now at least, and in this current move, 100% of an echo chamber move. It's mostly just market participant in crypto. I also think it's a product of the rest being shit and just not moving. But the argument that because a meme coin is pumping, the market is doomed, well, this this entire cycle has been only meme coins moving. So if that's your conclusion from before, I think it's still a valid conclusion. But I wouldn't say that because Fartcoin is pumping, this means that the market needs to die harder. But yeah, if you're uncomfortable with meme coins moving, you probably had a pretty shitty last 2 years in the market. It must have been pretty painful. And again, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. I don't care much what I trade personally. Like, again, we are in crypto. But until we start seeing projects being able to have proper use case and they pump for it, I guess people will continue to just go towards what's actually moving and where there are trades to take. But I don't think this is the kind of setup you trade with more than appetite for risk and trading more than. I think what's delusional, it's not the fact that Fartcoin is pumping. I think what's delusional, it's the people trying to find meaning behind it. Like, oh, Fartcoin pumping is the proof that the meme coin super cycle is still alive, blah, blah, blah. Come on, mate. Come on. Are we really going down this road? I don't think so. And behind Fartcoin, is there anything that you've been trading in the shitcoins world? Solana, maybe?
Yeah. I'm in a Sol long, but actually, I will take a look at that. Let me see the chart. So I'm in a Sol long from like 112.
Okay.
Which is great. So
oh yeah,
again, I discussed this last night, but I believe the level to hold on Sol is 1 to 1.6.
Yeah.
Just based on an H4 support and resistance flip.
Yeah.
On the H1, it's very clear as well. So in general, like I feel like I have a really solid entry. Not I feel like I do have a very solid entry. So I'm happy to chill and let this develop. I'm happy to compound this in that region of 121.6. I'm also happy to compound it if Sol breaks above 128.2 from here, because you could definitely argue that this is a deviation reclaim of an H4 consolidation. So yeah, I think Sol has also been fine. There's been a lot of hate around Sol. People are getting super emotional about their coins.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's definitely signs that the bottom is near.
Yeah. I like the levels you agreed. The 112 level is a very sweet one to catch. It gives you room to work with the rest of your setup at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I have so much room to work with.
It would be a crucial place to print some sort of a higher high if it was to be retested again.
Yep.
I'm a bit stuck on Sol. I couldn't justify longing it when it was in the low 100s. At the moment, I was more focused on capturing some moves on Bitcoin, but in the end, it's the exact same setup you had on Solana, the one I had on Bitcoin. And right now on daily, in my system at least, I think I would be a buyer on a breakthrough 130s. Because right now it's trying to flip a daily downtrend. It's been stuck below since 230. And it's the first time it's actually trying to break through and flip it, but it's not doing so that convincingly, in the sense that, as I just discussed, when I'm trying to see if a trend is lost or reclaimed, I usually look at H4 200 MA. In that case, we have H4 200 MA, which is perfectly flat, making it a little bit less relevant. At 128, it's the level that you mentioned. So I think if I'm willing to play something on Solana right now, I might be late, but I think I would be willing to long a again, wide gap fill. This is what makes me interested in Sol for long side if/when we break through 130s. Because in that situation, I would consider that the daily trend is likely flipped and we have a gigantic gap fill to chase up to the 150s, 160s. We are definitely not quite there yet. For all I know, Bitcoin is going to roll over after the New York Open once again, by the way. But if I want to be long, I think I'm fine being late to this one and trying to capture a move back in the 150s. But if I remember correctly, yeah, the 120 level is a gigantic one. Not only on lower time frame as we discussed, but if we look back all the way from 2023 December, it's basically the level that acted as support for the entire 2024, the 120 level. So it's quite a big level right now that's being retested on Solana on a daily perspective. So
Yeah, it's a massive level.
I guess my thesis would be defend the 120s, maybe a deviation below, as you said, for a a higher low, sorry, in the 110, 115. If that's defended and we clear the highs that we printed end of last week, I think we have some room for a move in, I would say 148, 150 could be a conservative target and first main target to chase. I think I would be willing to chase that if we get it. Um, I think I need, yeah, I'm gonna have to put, I already have some alerts on it, but I'm gonna have to take a look at Solana again. I haven't been paying much attention to Solana, mostly because I've been very mad at myself for not being in a short since the 180 breakdown, which was textbook in my system. And I don't know why I completely missed it. And I missed the entire downside on Solana, unfortunately. So maybe I'm a bit grumpy to Solana, but okay, I need to watch Solana again. Jesus, I was the
Yeah.
and actually, I think I don't want to be the doomer in the room, but there is a long way home if the low 100 is not respected on Solana. In a catastrophic world for crypto where Bitcoin gets back within last year range, I have a hard time not seeing Solana retesting the 60s and 70s level. That would be the state of city if that happens. It's gonna be one thing to watch. One thing to watch.
Definitely.
Which I guess this leads us to I just want to discuss rapidly before we take more chat requests if you guys have some in the chat. I just want to update rapidly on the Bitcoin daily plan that we've had since February now. For those who are watching the streams or reading the updates on Telegram, Discord, or even in the Haven, we're still very much on progress. We still have we've got the low deviation area we tested last week and defended. It's the equivalent of the chart we just looked at. This is the 120 level equivalent for, well, not really. I cannot say that. That would be more the low 50s, but it was a key level to defend, just as the low end 100 is a key to defend on Solana. And still looking more and more like the ideal scenario would be the continuation of that compression on the daily for Bitcoin. My main takeaway when I'm looking at this is that at the beginning of the stream, we discussed the fact that trading Bitcoin lately has been fun, mostly on lower time frame, I should say, mostly because there has been a lot of gaps to chase, a lot of fairly brutal moves creating inefficiencies to chase. But to me, the closer we get into the compression, the less it's gonna be true. And the more I hope that we're gonna have some lone runners like Fatcoin to trade in any direction. I don't care if it's the green button. Because yeah, the longer we are in this compression, the shittier the volatility gonna get. A little bit like the end of the compression during last year range in a similar daily EMA compression. I'm still trying to be as patient as possible to sit on my hands before putting any kind of size into trades on Bitcoin until we have a full daily EMA compression. It's been 2 months now. The fingers are starting to burn. I'm starting to feel I'm starting to feel like the intraday plays dopamine is just not enough anymore.
At least it's only your fingers burning in.
Oh yeah. Very much. Have you been trading ETH a little bit over the last few weeks or not?
Hell no, I've barely looked at ETH, which is probably stupid of me because it's been free shorts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't looked at ETH in a very long time, to be honest. I honestly consider it just completely dead.
Yeah.
Which again is probably my own mistake. I should really take advantage of it, but
yeah, this this is the thought process that I've tried not to do on ETH what I did on Sol, which is missing the daily downtrend.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the daily downtrend on ETH has been probably one of the cleanest I've seen in ages. It's the same one basically since 3.4K, and there's been zero deviation above ever since. It's been one clean short every time it retests daily trend. Maybe, unfortunately for you, the one time you're gonna do it, it's the time it's gonna break. But
Yeah, of course.
at least that would be a fantastic trigger to get out of your shorts. And yeah, when you look at my ETH chart, it's been mostly just, you have a few long here and there, but it's been mostly just shorting every time I had the opportunity to do so. And yeah, compounded on a short on Monday. On Monday, basically on Saturday, we did a long stream in the Haven planning setups for this week, and the three main setups we had in mind was the Bitcoin. What's the chart? Bitcoin compounding, which is still alive but fighting for its life. Partcoin long, which I ended up exiting, and this ETH compounding, which gave one target. There is one thing I want to say about ETH is that if you are bullish on ETH, if you are, to me, it's the perfect example of what I often say, which is when is often more important than where. Because a lot of people have been asking me, where are you willing to buy ETH no matter what happens? And my answer is always, I don't know where, but I will be a buyer the day it finally manages to flip the daily downtrend. And one could even have an argument to not even focus on the ETH BTC, on the ETH USDT pair. You could also very well decide to not buy it as long as it's in the same daily downtrend on Bitcoin. Also, it as a record, it's the same daily downtrend since 0.036 against Bitcoin since January. That's a minus 50% just against Bitcoin, which is pretty fucking insane. But again, wide gaps created because of these moves, meaning that if/when we get daily downtrends broken, there will be, in my opinion, some potential nice gap fill to chase. But the truth is, if the ETH USDT breaks the daily downtrend, but the ETH BTC chart is still shit, why would you be long ETH and not being long Bitcoin beta? Basically, there is just virtually no advantages of being long ETH over Bitcoin, unless ETH BTC finally manages to break the daily downtrend. But it's quite a crazy chart to see. I remember seeing some doom post on City at the moment of the merge a couple of years ago. I think it was 2022, or I'm mistaken. ETH merge date 2022, yeah, September. And basically all the doomer charts were the chart we have in front of our eyes right now. And I was like, yeah, sure. ETH is going back. ETH BTC is going back to 2019 lows. It's probably one of the extremely rare case where beer porn are right about something on City, and it had to be ETH, unfortunately. But it is how it is. It is how it is. Beside that, one of the main things I've been doing over the past few days has been chasing shitcoins which failed to bounce with Bitcoin on the move from the low 70s to right now, and basically short losses of breakdowns. Every time it was building some sort of a local support on H1, and every time it was losing the support, I was basically just trying to short the breakdown. Kaito probably was one of the best focus of that. I'm not quite 100% certain why it's been wrecked that much. If there is any fundamental or lack of fundamentals, if people are being aggressive on the short side for shitcoins because of what they've seen on OM or not, but it's been a nice thing to focus, and this gives me a good transition to Squeezed, sorry if I'm butchering your name, asking me about EOS. EOS is one of those. I have not triggered that yet, but I'm watching EOS closely because of the fairly similar reason. fail to bounce with Bitcoin, equal lows to work with. But what's holding me back from taking this short there are two things that are holding me back. The first thing is Bitcoin fighting for H1 200 EMA, which to me is the last thing to hold before a deeper retrace in the low 80s. And because the US has been moving quite weirdly over the past few weeks, especially this move that we've got end of March, early April, without any significant update from US or whatever. I don't know, the chart just looks scammy. So I initially wanted to take a shot like this, and now I'm doubting it. I don't know I don't know if you have any point of view on a chart that looks like this from your system, or if there is anything that you could work with, because it's a bit of a chaotic chart, to be honest.
Well, honestly, the main issue I would probably have with this is if you go to the daily,
Yeah,
this 0.58 level, I'm sure it will just jump out at you.
yeah. 0.58.
Yes. So that's a bit concerning on the daily chart, because the current bounce is just a retest of that consolidation period.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also based on like price just bleeding out for, what is this, 11 days
Yeah.
or so. So that could just be fuel for just a squeeze higher. But
Kind of
in
feels
general,
like it.
yeah. I mean, I still can't even believe I'm talking about EOS right now. But
yeah. A blast from the past.
regardless, yeah. The other issue is, let's see if I have anything on the H4. Yeah, like the H4 swept the lows and has bounced and is now breaking above the consolidation period. So
yeah, that's main issue.
Yeah, in general, like this chart doesn't look bad at all, but like you say, I think it would be better to kind of just wait for the bounce, wait for the squeeze, whatever happens, and then look for a short position.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be setting resting asks, because I'm sure this is a coin that's just gonna scam around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's a fair point, and I also think that the daily picture probably gives a better point of view, especially with the level that you just mentioned, the 0 point low, basically 58 up to 60. So squeezed. I think I'm gonna hold off on the idea of the short I had. I'm just gonna let it develop, especially as long as Bitcoin defends H1 200 EMA, which to me can be the lower time frame whether Bitcoin defends H1 200 EMA or not is going to be my trigger to decide if I'm willing to more aggressively short things or not. I think my plan for EOS, if I'm willing to short at this point, either wait for a scam pump, scammy enough to give it a shot, basically, especially if you have some confluence, can be the daily 200 EMA or whatever. And if I don't catch this opportunity, if I'm not able to position myself on a scam pump, I kind of feel like it's a free short below 0.58, like below the lows it defended yesterday, the consolidation before. It's already been some sort of a pivotal level. So basically, I'm not excluding this kind of price action. I'm not saying it's gonna take this long, but basically doing something like this where it fucks around the 0.58 up to 0.7068, for example, and wait for a loss of this level and then try to ride a similar leg to the lows. I guess my main argument to not try too hard shorting it, besides the H1 200 EMA being defended on Bitcoin, is also the fact that if I'm actually willing to short something, there's probably things that look shittier than that right now, and I'm not going to surprise anyone, but over the past few months, every time I was hesitating to short something and the setup was not clear enough for me, I was just going to short ETH in the end. I'm not saying I'm willing to short ETH right now. We already did at the beginning of the week, but if I'm really tempted to short EOS, maybe I will just end up shorting ETH. But we'll see. Basically, the game plan I could have could be H1 200 EMA focus on Bitcoin, and it's basically the thing that we've updated on the latest compounding we entered. H1 200 EMA lost cut everything basically, in which case I would expect us to see a revisit of this region. If that's the case, I will be more aggressively looking for shorts around around my watch list. EOS could be one of them, but as I explained earlier, one of my main focus right now is more the ads that fail to bounce and are sitting at lows and basically begging to roll over. I'm thinking of things like Not, for example, which is retesting the lows right now, not even bouncing with Bitcoin. This could be an aggressive short that I would be willing to take if Bitcoin starts rolling over. It's not a definitive target, but basically try to play those kind of things. Not is one of them. Bera has been one of them also, as you can see, discussed yesterday on stream also. Those kind of things. Basically do nothing if Bitcoin continues to defend. Ride any kind of compounding of position you have. Maybe focus on Fartcoin as we discussed for a better bet to the upside. And if we see some weakness, short ETH and short whatever is showing any kind of I mean, Kato probably is the best focus as we discussed at the beginning of the stream. Like yeah. So yeah, Squeezed, thanks for the chat request. Holding up for now on IDs to short EOS, and we'll continue to watch it develop and we'll decide later in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Nice week on Bera. I don't know if it's a week that's everywhere, but it's a week on Binance, so I would assume it's a week that's someone got carried away with that probably. Yeah. Is it everywhere? Okay, it's not as bad on other exchanges that it is on Binance. But yeah, quite the week. Quite the week. Would you tell me that that there is some crimes happening on Binance? No, I would not believe you. Someone asked us, Vanman asked us if we could check grass. Is the H4 chart on grass is probably one of the most redacted things I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I'm actually long from like 1.5 or so. 1.5, like above there.
Is it the daily setup?
Yeah, so I've held this for a while now. I think it's hit 2 take profits. I'm waiting on the third, but I think this is just such a clean daily chart. Yeah, the H4 is interesting.
It's chaotic.
But like the daily when I entered, it was really clean. It's still very clean. Just using literally 2 lines. It's 1.5
yeah,
and then 2.08 as a take profit or a final target.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very straightforward in terms of the H4 though. Yes, it looks a bit odd, but grass is it has really good opportunity to scam up.
yeah.
Clearly, the scam to the downside is also a factor to consider, but you have to stick to like higher time frames and try not to get distracted by those things.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah,
like for something like grass, if 1.5 just continues to hold, there's no need to worry about the scam stuff because it will happen, and it at the end of the day, the daily chart is still holding.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in terms of a setup now, I personally don't have one. There's like nothing on the H1 or H4 that looks interesting. Maybe on the H4 if I like had to really force something, this 1.67 level. So an H4 close above there.
Is it the kind of environment you're willing to force things though? I don't think so.
No. I think there's a lot I had to think about that for a second because I think there's a lot of better looking charts that you could force something from. So like I don't want to get distracted and go to a different chart, but Popcat is a good example.
Yeah.
Of one that you could look to take something instead of grass. Grass, the issue there is you would really need a move or a long position from closer to the daily level to really make it worth it.
Yeah.
Unless something develops for grass on lower time frames. But what do you think?
I think there is nothing for me to do there, and it's pretty showing on any time frames. For example, on H1, we can see that EMA wise, if we forget about any kind of clean horizontal levels and especially the 1.5 that you discussed, when you have a chart where the moving averages are flat on any time frame, it basically means that it's been a complete chop fest. And EMA wise, you basically have nothing to work with. On H1, trend disrespected, flat 100 MA, flat 200 MA, flat 300 MA. On H4, flat 200 MA disrespected, trend disrespected, flat 300, flat 100. On daily, trend disrespected in the sense of we've been spending time above, time below, time above. Nothing for me to work with. Generally, when I see a chart like this, I try to set some alerts below what are the key horizontal levels we have on the charts, which I believe are the ones that you mentioned. So the 150 region, likely above the 170. Maybe there's something to do over there, but likely the next level of interest is actually 2.0, 2.1, as you said. But yeah, nothing for me to work with. I think it's the kind of setup, if you manage to catch an entry on this very clean support horizontal flip, where you have all the arguments in the world to hold, and especially with the low that was printed on Sunday, the daily low that was printed on Sunday makes any kind of invalidation you have below 150 probably a good one. And I would expect a lot of people to have their stops there. So if you're trying to position, maybe you would want to capture some sort of a deviation, but remains a good invalidation for me. But yeah, nothing for me to work on that. Maybe on a higher time frame, but I don't think it's a hold enough shitcoin to work on the weekly time frame. I guess on H4, one thing that I could be willing to see is some sort of a compression that starts to pick a direction, in a sense that instead of being flat, all the moving averages starts to curve up or curve down, in which case a break above and retest turns into a potential setup. But this is usually the kind of chart where, especially in moments like lately where I'm very focused on lower time frame trading, I would probably be absolutely chopped to death watching something like this. And actually a good part of my system has been built towards avoiding those kind of charts on lower time frame. I mean, because again, I know that this leaves too much room for me to fuck up the execution in a lot of original ways. So yeah, no clear plan for grass. But you know what? I'm gonna add it back to the watch list because I've had a lot of fun trading grass beginning of the year. So probably a good one to add back to the watch list. I want to take,
and like
sorry.
oddly, sorry, just
No, go ahead.
but like oddly, like whenever I do like the chart requests on Twitter,
It's
like
often
almost every single time people are asking about grass. I didn't know it was like that popular. So
yeah.
that's also good to know that there's really a lot of eyes on it. And there is good price action. Obviously, we just got finished saying that there's nothing to do on the H4 H1. But like in general, the price action is pretty solid, especially respecting the daily levels, which is really what you could ask for.
Yeah.
So yeah, also just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I think the $2 level is very interesting. At the beginning of the year, when I mean up in early March, I should say, at end of February, I was watching it because it was showing a very clean daily trend defended, and it tried to break through. I had a confluence, for me, I had a resistance confluence of daily 100 MA and this entire lows that I wanted to see broken and flipped. And my idea was, okay, if it manages to flip this entire level, we have a massive range to go up to the back to the like $3 levels. And yeah, unfortunately, it went 100% against everything that I thought, failed to flip everything. And I basically decided not to look at it anymore. But I think I would be willing to give it another shot again if it manages to flip this region. But I'm likely just going to watch it develop until then. Yep. I want to take a quick look at Popcat because you mentioned it. And after we can do a curve, even if it's a cursed coin, and it will probably be the end of the stream after that. We can take a last look on Bitcoin and SPX before wrapping up, but that would be it. For Popcat, I've mostly been shorting Popcat, especially the last legs down to the 1.1 region. We can still see the targets that we had. But yeah, we discussed it on Saturday again on stream, and I think the best case scenario for Popcat right now is some sort of a compression between daily 100 MA daily trends. So that's like 0.21, 0.28. I don't think you want to participate too much in this region, but I think you want to be trading the direction that's picked by the compression. If it starts breaking above 0.30, still within a defended daily trend, I think it's a long all the way up to 0.40s, and I think I will be back to shorting it if it fails to give any kind of strength off of the recent compression we've had. It's been another one fun to trade because it's been extremely trendy. Like, we're talking about something that lost its daily trend and went from the top to the bottom, same daily downtrend, which is pretty insane. But yeah, I've seen it mentioned in the chat. You mentioned it. I thought it was interesting to take a look at it.
Yeah, so I actually have a different opinion to you on Popcat.
Go ahead.
I think I'm actually very close to pulling the trigger on a long very shortly. So let me send you my chart just so you can get a better point of view. So really, there's two main levels I'm working with. The first one is I'm sending you a link right now.
Yeah.
So very clear H4 level.
Yeah.
Right. If you could see just extended to the left, not the red box, the single line below that. So you could see if the current price action, we have a deviation below that level, we have solid price action above that level.
Yeah.
So really good, exactly what I look for, perfect. Now the issue that I have with Popcat is the massive daily level that price is just below.
Yeah.
So if you zoom out, go to the daily, I mean, it's an obvious level at like, what, 0.28, the highs and below.
Daily 100 MA confluence also.
Yeah, there you go. So that's really the issue. But I think what's positive about Popcat is the price action that happened at that H4 level, so around 0.23. And I think you could also take profit before price fully hits that daily level. So you can kind of front run that daily level as a first take profit and see what happens from there. Overall, what were you saying?
No, go ahead. I'm going to ask after.
But overall, yeah, I think Popcat from here there's opportunity there. I'm not quite pulling the trigger just yet, but it's definitely on the top of my watch list for today and one that I'm going to monitor. Maybe I'll buy, I don't know, at some point today, but we'll see. But just offering a different point of view on Popcat. Yeah.
I could actually see it would be an H4 trend reclaim. It reminds me a little bit of what we discussed for Fartcoin at the beginning of the stream. The fact that it deviated a little bit below the H4 trend, now showing some strength back above.
Yep.
Especially with Bitcoin doing better than SPX so far on the New York Open. It's only been 1 hour, but we can see some sort of a small relative strength on Bitcoin that can give more appetite to these kind of setups.
Yeah, it's and this is the setup I've been looking for. Just H1, H4 consolidation periods. Maybe I have confluence with a daily level as well. But they've been so clean to trade. I actually made a public video about this, not to self-shill, but I made a public video about this trade setup. And I think it's a really good one, and we're seeing it again on Popcat, so we'll see if it plays out.
Yeah. I'm sharing the link of your Twitter account for anyone that's not already following you to see all of that. My question for something like this, if you take this setup, does your invalidation would be based off of the small consolidation we've got on the last few H4 candles, or would you have something more aggressive?
Yep, exactly. So my invalidation would be below the local lows on the H4.
Okay.
So not super tight where it's just below the wick. I'm giving myself a bit of breathing room, but yeah, exactly. That's the invalidation for the entire trade setup. It's just consolidation period lows. That's it. And it's nice with a setup like this.
Before the highs. That's a setup I could get behind, to be honest.
Yeah, and it's nice with this setup because you're entering on the consolidation break. So if and when price falls back within the consolidation period, you just cut, and it's not a full loss. And yeah, it's just a really solid setup that has been going very well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you're almost tempting me. You're almost tempting
That wasn't
me.
my intention. I just wanted to share my point of view.
Yeah, but because I'm saying that because on stream yesterday we spent 2 hours or something like this browsing the market and looking for setups, and we always found reasons not to, which between yesterday and today was a good decision. But yeah, I feel like I want to find a setup for today, but I haven't been able to find anything. The only again, I think the only thing I would be willing to long again would be Bitcoin, but I can't do that right now. So okay. I gotta keep an eye on it, and we're gonna finish with Curve Coin, which I'm not trading personally because I've stopped trading Curve Coin in 2020, I think, or something. I've always considered it and I missed most of that, by the way. I've always considered it a cursed coin. Every time I try to take interest in curve coin, there is a proper dip in my net worth coming around the corner. So I've stopped doing that. But I know that it's also a coin a lot of people have been watching. I don't know if it's because it's heavily chilled somewhere or not, but it's almost a coin everyone asks me one time per stream. So I don't know if you've been trading it or not yourself.
Yeah, I think CRV looks really good. Again,
It does.
So many of these charts just go to the daily. I draw like a simple line, zoom out on the daily, draw a simple horizontal, and you'll trade very well.
Ah, yeah. And a lot of cases, yeah.
Even on CRV, I have 2 lines. Let me send it to you right now. And
yeah, I think you can
in my opinion, that's quite literally all you need. So based on my 2 lines, I'm way too late to enter into a long position here, which is fine. Yeah. Well, this is based on the daily. Maybe the H4 is a different story. No, I am too late. So
but no, makes sense.
I'm too late on a position now. So what I do is just wait for the next daily level to be reclaimed. So 0.67. And then when that level is reclaimed, I'm looking for consolidation at that level, some H1 or H4 pattern that is enticing to me. I have so much content on it. And then I enter into a trade setup based on that.
Yeah.
Right. I think people really can look at a chart like CRV and say, "Oh, I'm too late. Like, what's the point? I'm not going to look at this again." But there's still so much opportunity on these charts where, like, just swap to the daily, put the lines on the chart, see what happens. If you're late, if the daily level's like 5% away, 10% away, whatever, just wait for the reclaim. If it makes sense to enter before the reclaim on the daily, so you get a nice H1 or H4 pattern and you could take profit before that daily level, then go and do that. But be aware of the daily levels, just simple horizontals. It doesn't have to be crazy. Yeah. Go from there.
Yeah. And yeah, it makes yesterday's retest. Because it's curve, I would have probably not taken it. But if I forget it's curve, in the retests we've got over the past few days, basically kissing daily 100 MA has been a fantastic indicator on curve. It's been the case for as long as I can remember curve moving. Very often points of breakdown every time it started to break. Strong signals to wait for the next. It's been trying to flip it back into support. The retest we've got yesterday was pretty sweet. We had the retest of the daily level you just mentioned, the 0.58 region, with daily 100 MA. It would have been ideal if we had the daily trend. It has not been retested, the daily trend. But to go in your argument that you probably missed nothing if you are not in position yet. To me, the argument of that, especially if you're focused on the daily, it's whether the daily trend is established in the sense of has it already been retested, has it been defended. In the case of curve, for example, as much as it's already moved off of the lows, we haven't even got a single daily trend retest yet. And I would expect curve between the retest of 0.67 after or before it's it to give a daily trend retest. And this could be your opportunity to re-enter. And you just have to look on the left or any kind of move curves made. Always gave at least daily 13 EMA retests on the way up. So it's probably a good indicator whether you missed it all or not. But in any case, the levels you mentioned are probably the only things you need if you're willing to trade curve right now, which is basically 0.55, 0.58, 0.67 is a very sweet place to take some profits. You have some nice horizontal levels to work with. And if slash when broken, in next immediate level, also a fairly obvious one with the 0.78, 0.80, strong support, broke it, retested it, flip it, resistance, died. That makes a very nice horizontal level to work with. So you probably have a nice plan to have. I need to add back curve to the watch lists. It's not bueno. It's not a good news for my network, guys. There is something bad coming around the corner for me. I can feel it. Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Anyway, one last look to Bitcoin. I'm trying to see if there is anything I wanted to discuss particularly that we have not been discussing. Popcat moving while we said now that we finished discussing it.
Yeah, thanks for buying that, guys. I wasn't able to buy yet. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's
the next time I'm doing a stream with Pierre will be in another 2 years. So.
Fuck. Congrats, guys. Thank you very much.
Still up. So again, like Popcat has gone up 3% in the last hour.
Yeah.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit. So if there's no entry on Popcat where I want an entry, which is like, I don't know, 0.24 or so, if that doesn't happen, that's also perfectly fine because I have a massive key daily level at 0.3. So I just wait for that reclaim, see a pattern I like on the H1 or H4 and enter then. So I really just want to hit home on the fact that if you missed some lower time frame price action, it's perfectly fine. You don't need to sit and dwell on it and get upset about it. Just wait for the reclaim of a higher time frame level and then go from there.
Yeah, and in general, if you're feeling that kind of sense of missing out on anything because you missed an entry on lower time frame, you have one thing to do. You zoom out, you look to the left. We are literally trading at the same price that we were in February 2025. You missed dog shit. You've missed nothing. It's like recently I've had a lot of messages from people telling me, oh, what do you think I should do? I missed the 0.67, the 76k retest. I missed the generational entry. Yeah, and people were saying the same thing early March when we retested it. We are back at the same price we were in mid-February. You missed nothing. Just get out of the 15-minute chart, zoom out a little bit, map out main levels of interest, and it's extremely likely you missed nothing. Just wait for the next setup to unfold. There is a lot of things to trade in the markets. A missed entry is just another one waiting for you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Okay, my last conclusion for the stream, if I had to give any kind of focuses to have on lower time frame, I think it's going to be the same ones that we discussed at the beginning of the stream. For me, it's H1 200 EMA on Bitcoin. Personally, in the compounding and the long I'm in on Bitcoin, I'm sorry if the chart is a little bit messy, but basically it's defending it, holding it or not will decide if I cut fully or if I let it run. I would absolutely love to get target one before having to do so, obviously. But I think it's a good focus to have short term. It's been defended overnight. Keep an eye on it. It's likely to be a nice pivot between strength and weakness. My main perspective personally is more towards chop fest, probably something like 83, 86 for the rest of the week. I hope to be wrong, obviously, because that would mean it's gonna be shitty. But as I said at the beginning of the stream, the longer we are in this daily EMA compression, the more I'm leaning towards chop fest, and the more I'm leaning towards the lower time frame range we are focused on to be shorter and shorter, basically. And yeah, an eye on SPX, an eye on the news, an eye on the headlines, because in our current paradigm, we are always one tweet away from some madness. So obviously you need to keep an eye on you have to keep an eye on the news. It's not fun, but it is what it is. The market is forcing us all to be some sort of news traders. And yeah, I think for me, it's the main focuses. I don't have